impressive, actually. It's good thinking because I would fit in a jar. These ones don't necessarily fit in a jar. Although I feel like number one is how most people like do like little dipping. I will say I feel like there is a fourth option here. Option number four is to cut your bread in half like this and then in half again, like into quarters, which I think is the ideal way to eat a sandwich, is in quarters. So that is definitely like, I think there's a fourth way. So I don't know. However, when I'm just eating a piece of bread, I cut it in half. I cut it like number one. But when I'm eating a sandwich, like when there's two pieces of bread, that's when I cut it in quarters. So I don't know. Seems interesting. I'm glad that we know at least one person on this call who eats it number three style, Miss Yama. Pretty awesome. Oh, here's another question. Are you a crust or no crust person? I love crust. I eat other people's crust. Like I was that kid when like people would not be eating their pizza crust, and then we get to the end, right? We get to the end, and I was like, and my friend didn't like crust, so she would leave it on her plate, and I'd be like, "Can I have your crust?" I was that kid. That was me. In Japan, they sell toast with no crust. Has to be toasted. If not, no crust. Oh, interesting thought, Miss Flores. White bread loves crust. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Wow. This is a detailed conversation about bread. I appreciate you. Oh, hate wheat. I didn't like wheat, but then growing up, I was like, I hate this. And then now I'm like, oh, actually, I like that it has a little more, has like a little extra. Yes. But yes, Miss Flores, that's what I was about to say next. Sourdough is the best of any bread. I agree. I agree. Okay, here's my next question. Since it's toast day, can I celebrate by having pizza? Does pizza count as toast? Is that a thing? Because technically, here's the cube rule of food. If it's just one layer and then you put stuff on top, that's toast. If there's two layers with stuff in the middle, that's a sandwich. A taco has three sides and stuff sits on top. Sushi is anything that's like in a box like this. And then your soup salad with a bread bowl, that would be like almost the whole thing. And then calzone would be like the whole box and then it has a lid on it, right? So in my understanding, right, pizza would count as toast. So I feel like I could celebrate toast day with pizza tonight. This is how I'm going to convince the people in my household that we need to have pizza because it's toast day. So is a hot dog a taco? Yes, a hot dog is a taco for sure. I agree. Zephyr is very against this idea though. But yeah, very interesting. Lots of things are sushi. Here's my question. Is a burrito a calzone? It has all the sides covered. What is a burrito? Is a burrito its own category? A calzone is a burrito. Oh yeah, maybe this, instead of calzone, this should be burrito. The title of this category should be burrito. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, y'all. It is not a problem that we are going to solve today, though. I promise you that. So if you could take attendance for me, please, and then we're going to jump into our announcements. My first and only announcement is that we had a super low turn-in rate on Tuesday's assignment. We're missing 33 assignments. Yikes. So I'm wondering, how can we make this better for you? How can I make this better for you? Is there anything that was like totally different about this assignment that made you not do it? Are we just feeling like a little like it's the middle of the quarter and we don't want to do our homework? Is it like, tell me your feelings. Feel free to chat them. If you're brave to come off mute, I'm here for it. If you did not turn in Tuesday's assignment, or if you just know where people are at and you're like, Miss, it's not what it is right now, let me know. I would love to hear your opinions. You can keep typing them. I'm going to jump into getting ready for the notes, but I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any thoughts on how I can make math better for you in this virtual world, I would love to hear it. Jasmine Pineda, talk to me.
Good morning, Miss.
Good morning.
Well, I don't know if I'm talking for just me or for a bit more people in the classroom, but the mandatory IXL is kind of like not ideal for me because I would much rather do written problems than IXL.
Got you. Got you. Yes, for sure. I should have explained this on Tuesday. The reason I made you do IXL this time, for sure, is because we need the quick practice of like, can I look at this and draw that and put it over here, right? And I know that for some of us, that is a struggle because we're like, well, when I get one wrong, then I have to go back and then I go forward and then I go back, right? And so I totally get that. My reasoning was still that we like need that quick practice of like just being able to like literally draw your finger across and be like opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse. Okay, this one over that one. And we need more practice than I was going to be able to give you on paper, if that makes sense. But yeah, Jasmine, I totally appreciate that. And I definitely should have mentioned that on Tuesday. So I appreciate you bringing that to light. If for some reason, well, okay, number one, also, everybody got points if you tried the IXL. So actually the people who were missing were people who didn't even click on the IXL. Because if you clicked on the IXL and did even one problem, you got some of the IXL points. So when I'm talking about missing assignments here, I'm actually talking about people who didn't even try the assignment. So I appreciate you. I saw some of you spent like 25 minutes going up and down on IXL. And I really appreciate that you spent that hard work. And some of you texted me. I really appreciate you advocating for yourself. And many people who texted me either got the help that they needed or I excused them. So I definitely gave you the benefit of the doubt. So you got points if you tried, right? When I'm talking about missing assignments, I'm really talking about people who did not try the IXL at all. So that is my word of advice is to try it. Don't be scared by the IXL. I know that we haven't done a lot of it for some of us. And if you're getting stuck, reach out, because for some of us, I just said, okay, you're done. Like, you've done enough work. Thank you for doing it. And they got all the points for the IXL. So please do reach out and advocate. This is a strange world for sure. Okay. Jasmine, thank you so much for bringing that to light. I also appreciate those of you who are private messaging me that it's the middle of the quarter and like it just feels hard, and or you don't want to or lacking motivation. I feel that. I'm here for you. Miss Yama is here for you as well, so she can, even if you just need some like a reason to try, I get it. So we will be here on office hours from 10:30 to noon on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so that we can support you in doing it, or just like, you know, saying hey, so you feel a little more invested in doing it. I feel that for sure. Cool. We're making do with the best. We're making the best case scenario for what we need for this crazy world that I would like very much to be over as soon as possible. Wear your mask, friends. That's my vote. Okay. All right. We're gonna jump into our notes and our assignment. If you continue to have ideas, feel free to continue to chat them or email them to me or text. But we're gonna jump into our notes and we're gonna be taking them on paper today. If you would prefer, I do think that today might be a good day to take them on paper. I'm sorry, on like typing if you want. So you'll see here, I'll send you this link here, but basically I've written a lot of things down and then you could just double click on the blanks and type in the word that I write down. So I'm gonna write mine on paper, but if you are like someone who likes to type, or you think that today might be a good day for you to type, I will put the notes in the chat. There you go. And we will jump into that. So I'm gonna stop sharing. I'm gonna share my iPad. And we will jump in today. I'm gonna send out this timing poll. Do we have paper? Are we ready to go? Or do we need a little bit more time? And again, reminder that you are not writing everything down, right? You're not writing all of these words. You are just writing the things that are important for your notes, okay? And you are making that decision. I'm not gonna make that decision for you about what's important. I will try to help you, okay? All right. Looks like a few of us need just a minute, so we'll take that minute. If you are already ready, feel free to title your notes. Trig to find sides. You might write notes 30 there. I am going to talk through this part, but you do not need to write. No right. Unless you want to. But you don't need to write it down. It'll take about 30 more seconds for peeps to be ready. All right, looking pretty good. If you still need a second and you can still hear me, keep getting ready and jump in when you're ready. All right, looks like we're good. So today we're going to be using our trig function SOHCAHTOA, right? Remember SOHCAHTOA, we're going to be using that in order to calculate the side of a triangle. So I'm going to be using some vocabulary today, the words given and unknown, and I just want you to know what it means. You don't need to write this down, but I want you to know what these words mean when I say them. So the word given, right, that's the information that the problem gives you, right? AKA the important stuff they tell you or that they write on the diagram. So given information is things that the problem tells you, right? And then unknown, as you might imagine, are the things that we don't know, right? The thing that I want to know or the thing that I'm looking for, right? So when I say given, I'm thinking about what they tell us already. When I say unknown, I'm probably thinking about the variable. I'm thinking about what the thing is that they want us to know. Okay. So there are 4 steps, right? 4 steps I wrote down because I know some of us really love our steps. So if you're writing on your notes, you might just write the word steps. You might not write to finding sides, just the word steps. Right, so step 1 is to identify the givens and the unknowns, right? Another word for identify is find. So find or figure out the givens and the unknowns. Right, so I would probably write down this whole part for number 1. All right, step 2, using the givens and the unknowns, decide, sorry about that, get out there. Using the givens and the unknowns, decide which trig function to use. Right, so we're going to decide which trig function to use, right? So I'm thinking about SOHCAHTOA. So I would just, if I'm writing on my paper, I would just write down what I've highlighted in green. Right, so using the givens and the unknowns, decide which trig function to use. My 3rd step is I'm going to use that to write an equation. And my 4th step is to solve. I'm going to solve by isolating the variable. So if I was writing this down on my paper, I'd only be writing what's highlighted here in green. Identify the givens and the unknowns, decide which trig function to use, write an equation, and solve it. Okay. Go ahead and pop a Y in the chat when you are ready to move on here. And you've got your steps written down. Nice. Awesome. Let's take a look at this problem. All right. We don't necessarily need the words, but we do need a triangle. Go ahead and draw a quick triangle. Draw a quick triangle here. Make sure you put the right angle there. Make sure you write the 52 degrees on the side. I'm sorry, on the inside. And put the 30 on this side here from the dock to the lighthouse is 30. So you should have 52 and 30. All right. And it says in the question, it says, how far is it from the boat to the lighthouse. From the boat to the lighthouse. So from the boat to the lighthouse is over here. That is the side, right? How the distance, how far. That's the side I want to find out over here. So they give me two things, and there's one unknown. Right? They give me two things, and there's one unknown. What is the unknown thing? What is the thing that I'm trying to get? How did I represent it on my drawing? Is it 30? Is it 52? Or is it X? What is the unknown? Yeah, for sure. Good job, Sebastian and Gabby. The unknown is X. The unknown is X. And yes, that is absolutely our hypotenuse. And that's good information for us. So I'm going to go ahead and write X, and I'm going to put an H next to it. This is our hypotenuse. This is the thing that we're trying to find. So again, you don't need to write step one. You don't need to write unknowns. You don't need to write givens, but you should write X and then maybe an arrow with an H next to it. And then what are the numbers that they give us in this problem? What are the givens? 50 and 30, yeah, or 52 and 30. 52 and 30, for sure. Thank you, Melanie. Thanks, Gab. Right, so 52 is our degrees, and this is called theta. You may have heard of this before. Theta. I'm going to write theta by putting a circle with a line through it. Theta. And then 30, is 30 a side or an angle? A side, for sure. Yes, Emiliano, it's on the outside of that triangle. It's a side. So 30, and then based off of this right here, this angle, I'm going to go ahead and I know that this side over here from the dock to the boat, that is my opposite. Right, remember we said this was my hypotenuse. So what is 30? 30 is my adjacent, yes. 30 is my adjacent, so I'm going to go ahead and write adjacent here. All right, so now that I know my X is the H, the hypotenuse, I have theta, and I have the adjacent. Knowing that I have A and H, am I going to use SO, CA, or TOA? Sine, cosine, or tangent? Yeah, Melanie, CA, right? How did you know that we should use CA? Cosine. How did you know? I think it's because it has A and H in it, right? So since we have A and H, right? Since we have A and H, we want to use CA, right? There's no H in TOA and there's no A in sine, so I can't use those. So I'm going to use cosine, right? I'm going to use cosine. So I'm going to use COS. My equation always starts with either sine, cosine, or tangent. It's no problem, Melanie. Thank you for telling us. I know typing can be challenging in the morning, for sure. Okay, sine, so sine, cosine, or tangent, we chose cosine. And then what was our angle? What was our angle? Our angle is 52, yes, 52. Our angle is 52. So this is always going to be SOHCAHTOA. This is always going to be our theta, our angle. And then over here, this is a fraction. So we need to do, is cosine, is it A over H or is it H over A? Which one goes on top? A goes on top. Yeah, it's A over H for sure. A over H. So A in this case is 30. And H in this case is X. So we have A here and H here. A over H because we're dealing with cosine. I'm going to rewrite it down here since mine is in a little box. Right, and then my last step is to solve the equation. My last step is to solve. So how do I get X by itself? X is on the bottom of a fraction here. How can I get X out of the bottom? I don't like that. How can I get X out of the bottom there? I want to move it to the other side. What's I see right now? Divide by X. What's the opposite of divide by X?
Multiply.
Yeah, multiply. Thanks, Roxana. So I'm going to multiply by X. When I do that, I'm going to multiply on the other side by X as well. So that's going to do X divided by X becomes 1, cancels out. So I have X times cosine 52 equals 30. And now I have X multiplied cosine 52. How do I get cosine 52 to the other side? I have multiply. What's the opposite of multiply?
Divide.
Yeah, divide by cosine 52. Divide by cosine 52. So X equals 30 over cosine 52. But we actually want to know how far is it from the boat to the lighthouse? And if someone was like, oh, hey, how far is it from the boat to the lighthouse? And I was like, oh, it's 30 over cosine 52. Would that be very helpful to them? No, right? That's not going to be helpful. They're like, oh yeah, let me just whip out my calculator and calculate that right now, right? They would be like so sassy about it. So I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator to calculate this. One very important thing here is that my calculator needs to be in degrees. Decimal automatically goes to radians. If you leave decimals in radians, you will never get the right answer. Some of us were experiencing that last night. So when you are here, you're going to click on the little gear or the little like tool at the top. And then right here, right now, you see that it is in radians. We need it to be in degrees. So I'm going to click on that one. And now when I do my problem, I'm going to do 30 divided by cosine. I can type it in like COS, or there's a function button where I can just press cosine right here. Cosine of 52. Cosine of 52. So 48.728. Today I'm going to use 10th, 48.7. 48.7. I'm using tenths today because both IXL and your homework is going to ask for tenths. Tenths is 1 decimal place. 1 decimal. So it's 48.7. What is our unit? Let's not forget, just like in physics, we can't forget. What is our unit? 48.7 elephants? 48.7 kilometers? 48.7 what? Not degrees. We have our angle here, but remember we're calculating a length. Would it be 48 degrees from the boat to the lighthouse? Ah, yes, 48 miles. Right. Nice try, Brandon. Good correction, Nebu. It'd be 48 miles from the boat to the lighthouse. Ooh, that's pretty far. Pretty far, pretty far. So that would be our answer. That would be our answer. All right. I would love to know. I'm going to throw a poll to you, but here's what I want to know. I want to know where you got stuck if you got stuck. So on option A, that would mean that you got stuck on step 1. Option B, stuck on step 2. Option C, stuck on step 3. Option D, stuck on step 4. Option E is, I got this. Okay, those are your options, A, B, C, or D, or E. Let me know, how are you feeling after seeing this one? A was stuck on step 1, B stuck on step 2, C stuck on step 3, D stuck on step 4, E, I got this. All right. Thank you to the 21 of you who have voted so far. I'm looking for like 10 more. Looking for 10 more. So if you haven't jumped into the poll, let us know how you're doing. All right. This is very interesting data. Thank you for submitting your poll. If you are stuck on step 1, all we did here for step 1 is we just figured out what the problem gave us, right? So we went to our angle, opposite, adjacent, hypotenuse, right? If you're stuck on that step, that was from Tuesday, right? And then we said, okay, our 30 must be our A because it's over here. Our X, the thing we're looking for, must be H because it's over here. And our angle is here, right? So I think this portion looks like many of us are good here. Few of us got stuck on step 2. All I'm doing for step 2 is deciding, okay, if they give me A and H, which of these things am I going to use? Right? Which of these things am I going to use? I'm going to use cosine because I have A and H. A and H. So that's cosine right here. For step 3, when you're writing an equation, right? For those of you who said they were stuck on step 3, you're always going to put either sine, cosine, or tangent to begin with. And that sine, cosine, tangent always has to go with an angle. It can't be chilling by itself, right? So sine, cosine, tangent, angle. And then since this is cosine, we did A over H, right? A over H. And then finally for step 4, which looks like the place where I think we got a little bit confused there, was just solving. We needed to get X by itself. So we multiplied by X on both sides to get it out of the fraction. So we had X times cosine 52 equals 30. And then we divided by cosine 52 on both sides. That gave us this here. And we calculated this in our calculator to get our answer. And a few of us feel like we got it, so I'm glad to hear it. All right, let's try, we're gonna try 2 more in the next 10 minutes. Here we go. Thank you for your information. That was super helpful to me. All right, let's go ahead and write down this one. You're gonna write down this triangle. Make sure you draw the whole thing. Go ahead and jot down that one right now. And if you're good on step 1, I want you to try to identify what are the givens and what are the unknowns. Right, so they tell us X, 32 degrees, and 13. So my unknown, I know is always going to be my variable. My givens are going to be the numbers they give me. So 13 and 32 degrees. Remember, you don't have to write down everything. You should have your triangle. You should have X, 13, 32 degrees. Can someone help me label? I'm going to label my sides of my triangle. What is the opposite? Where, if 32 degrees is here, what is the opposite? It's like Emiliano already knows the questions that I'm asked before I ask them. Yes, X is my opposite, for sure. What is my hypotenuse? What is my hypotenuse? Remember, we learned how to label a side if we don't know it. Yeah, we don't know this side over here. right? But what do we call it if it goes from A to B? What do we call it if it goes from A to B? Has a name, side. Yes, side AB, good job, Jasmine. Right, so over here, this is my hypotenuse, side AB. And then what is my adjacent? What is my adjacent next to the angle? 13, yeah. My adjacent is 13. Okay, so knowing this, my X is my opposite. This is my opposite. My 13 is my adjacent. My 13 is my adjacent. My 32 is my angle, it's my theta. All right. So I have O and A. Looking at sine, cosine, or tangent, which of these am I going to use if I have O and A? Which of them am I going to use? I want at least 5 answers. Yes, 5 answers. There they are. TOA, tangent. I'm going to use tangent. Right, remember that T stands for tangent. So that's what I'm going to start my equation with. What is my angle? Which of these numbers is my angle? (32), yes. And tangent is O and A. Is it O over A or A over O? Which order does it go in? Yes, it's O over A. So I'm going to put my O on top, which would be X. Put my A on bottom, which would be 13. So I have my equation. Now I need to solve my equation. So I have tangent 32 equals X over 13. How do I get X by itself? I see divide by 13. What's the opposite of that? Multiply, yes. I'm going to multiply by 13 on both sides. So I have 13 times tan 32. I'm going to go to my calculator. 13 times tan 32. And I get 8.123. So the 2 does not make it round. So it's just 8.1 equals X. That means that this side of my triangle over here is 8.1. That makes sense because look, it's like a little smaller than that 13. So 8.1. 8.1. Why is the 13 on the bottom? Great question. So because tangent is O over A, we have to put the O on top and the A on bottom. In this case, the A was 13, so that 13 went on the bottom. The O needs to be on top. The O was X, the X went on top. Great question. The reason that the X was on the bottom over here, right? The reason that the X was on the bottom in our last problem was because H was our X, and H needs to go on the bottom for cosine. Cosine is A over H, so H is on bottom. So we have to follow the sine, cosine, or tangent rules in order to figure out what goes on top, what goes on bottom. Great question. I love that question. All right, I'm going to relaunch the same poll. A is stuck on part 1, B part 2, C part 3, D part 4, E means I got it. Means like you don't understand part 4, you don't understand part 3, you don't know how I did something in part 2, or E means I got it. Looks like some of us are stuck on how to choose it, right? You're choosing it just based on the letters here, right? So if we have the opposite and the adjacent, then we're going to choose tangent. You have another question. So you multiply by the denominator? Yeah, you multiply whatever's on the bottom. So we have x divided by 13. Then we need to get rid of divide by 13 by multiplying by 13. Great question, Josh.
Miss, I have a question. So when you're
Yeah.
picking, if it's SOHCAHTOA, it has to not count the degree number, or it has to be like O and A. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, so you're always going to have two sides and one angle. Right? There's always going to use two sides. So you look at the two sides, and the two sides are O and A. And so you're going to look for the one that has like the last two letters that have O and A in them.
Okay, but okay.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so you're not looking at the S, the C, or the T. That's the one that's reminding you, is it sine, is it cosine, or is it tangent? Yeah, those are the letters that are matching there. Good question. All right, it looks like we are doing good. All right, I'm gonna pause this on our notes. If you wanna watch this last one, you are welcome to. It is on the video and you're welcome to, but I won't hold you accountable to it for the note section. So if you wanna watch the video, you can for this last one, but they are gonna follow the exact same rules every single time. Okay, exact same rules every time. You're gonna find the unknowns and the givens. You're gonna choose so sine, cosine, or tangent. You're gonna write the equation, and then you're gonna solve it. Okay. I want to take these last 2 minutes to just look at our assignment since I didn't do that last time. You already have your notes done. Great job. 10 points coming to you right there. You do have two options today. We're back to having options, so you can work on the paper if you would like to. It's these problems here. You're doing 7, 10, or 14. And then for IXL, you're either going to 60, 70, or 80 on this level K IXL right here. Okay, so there are two options here. If you choose the paper one, the answers are down here on the bottom, so you can check your work as you go. I know lots of people like to do that. Don't forget to put your work here. The paper or the IXL both are worth 20 points, so that's the majority of our points today. And remember, if you do anything, like any of the problems or any of the IXL, you can get some of these points. So even if you don't finish, you still want to turn it in, right? Or if you get stuck, you still want to turn it in. And then your checkpoint is that last 10 points. So it's out of 40 points today. 40 points today. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open up some breakout rooms. If you would like to work in your breakout rooms, you are welcome to head into there. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye, everyone. If you'd like to work in your breakout rooms, you can. Otherwise, see you later. Adios, adios. No, Alan, it just automatically sent y'all in there. Sorry. You can head out. Bye, Emiliano. Bye, Alan. See you, Manny. Bye, Zephyr.